So this video is just a conversation that needs to happen out loud, not just in my notebook. I'm just gonna share what's currently going through my mind, like about chiropractic, how I share it with people. I love how I share it with people. I love that it's a process of like continual refinement. That first visit is like, I love my first visit. And it's not because I'm like guaranteed to sell them on chiropractic for the rest of their life. I don't know that, but I do know I'm telling it as transparently, honestly, and authentically as possible while still staying in tune with the principles. And that feels good because I feel like regardless of whether or not they're like sold on a forever client or like they just come a couple of times and receive what they need, I know from the bottom of my heart that I communicated to them these life-saving principles. The life-saving principle that says your body's intelligent. The intelligence that made the body heals the body. You heal. Chiropractic doesn't heal you. You heal you. And I don't just firmly believe that because it sounds good. It's like I witness it. So that's what I feel confident about sharing. And chiropractors have many different ways of sharing this chiropractic thing. When people come in and they've seen other chiropractors and they appreciate what I do and they're like, whoa, well, this is different. It's like, yeah, everybody does this differently. Nobody does this exactly the same. Even if they say they're practicing the exact same technique, it's like, no one can do this the way that you can do this. And I actually find that really liberating and like permission to be a little more artistic in the expression. And so there are so many different ways to do this chiropractic thing, no matter what technique they use, whether it was like super light and barely touching the body, or if it was like the whiplash of your life, somehow it all supports the system in creating change. Most chiropractors have this foundation of principles, and those principles inform the chiropractor and kind of keep him or her on the same page of like, we're not doing anything to you per se. We're supporting the system and liberating its own innate intelligence. And the innate intelligence of the body heals body. Just being in the field of somebody who believes that is really potent and powerful, because I feel like most of us have grown up conditioned to believe that health is a matter of like feeling good or liking how you feel somehow. And when you don't feel good, it's an indicator that something's wrong, something's bad, something needs to be fixed. And so we kind of relate to ourselves as machines in that way. We don't see ourselves as life living or as a processing. We see ourselves as like a tipping scale of like feeling good versus feeling bad. When we feel bad, we must be sick, we must be unwell, we must be unhealthy. When we feel good, we must be very healthy. And I think this relationship to ourselves that we've been conditioned to have is actually one of the biggest things that interferes with our own innate intelligence and being liberated. It's like our own relationship to our body is what's suppressing our healing potential, our adaptability. And so as a chiropractor, my mission, if you will, is to provide a force that can support the system in liberating its innate intelligence. I'm always reworking my own lens on this stuff. I'm always reworking, what is the chiropractic adjustment? What is chiropractic? I feel like that's a healthy practice. But as I sit with that question, I am essentially revealed more and more beauty and profundity about the human system, the human spirit, the body, all of those. And I love sharing how I see this work supporting an individual. As a chiropractor, wanting to liberate this innate intelligence, like having that always be essentially my motive, my sense of urgency, if you will. I see how the best way to direct people's attention to supporting their own liberation of innate intelligence is like bringing their attention to their own relationship to themselves. Because it just so happens that we've been conditioned to perceive ourselves as either healthy or unhealthy, good or bad, feeling good or feeling bad. And so when things come up that don't feel good, like fevers or sicknesses or pain or injury, we do our quickest and darndest to suppress that because we just don't like feeling it, because we've been taught if we don't like feeling what we're feeling, it's bad. Fever is just such a great example, because without a fever, we don't actually increase the temperature of our system adequately to potentially process some sort of immune response. Like, it's an intelligent mechanism. Pain is so important because pain kind of helps our body process what injury might have happened, what boundary might have been crossed, How do I support the system in knowing that, hey, this hand of yours, this elbow, this back of yours is going through a healing process? How do I help you know to not do what you normally would do? How do I get your attention to nurture me a little bit more? And pain's super interesting because we automatically think if there is some sort of pain or discomfort, there has to be something wrong. I think that relationship to pain almost amplifies the pain because we're already stressing out about our own pain. But I think it can actually prolong it because we're relating to the pain as like, you must go away. You must go away now. If you don't go away now, I won't be able to do that. Like, not only are we creating this entire stress narrative, we fear our own pain, we fear our own happening. But really, I think pain is like, I tell people to relate to it like a child that just like is crying for your attention. Are you asking the child to, okay, tell me exactly what's wrong so I can fix it and move on with my day? God, I really hope you're not saying that to children. But we treat our pain the same way. Like, okay, tell me what's wrong. If you can't do that, I'm gonna go to the doctor and make them fix you. But if you can tell me what's wrong, I'll figure it out and I'll fix it and we can move on. Like, I really do think a lot of our pain is just a deep cry for our presence, our attention, our bodies. Like, hey, you never let me do anything honest or authentic because every time it gets uncomfortable, you say, this is bad, and you try and suppress it. So this pain is like kind of my last ditch effort to like make you really pause and tune in. But like, we don't know how to do that without also asking, okay, well, what do you need? How can I fix it? And I just really don't think that that's the language our body speaks in. It's not like speaking to us in the language of, here's a problem, here's how to solve it. It's like, here's an honest experience. Can you hang out with it? Can you be with it? And I really do think that that's what our body is ultimately helping us learn as human spirits, is like how to be with the duality of, yeah, you feel good sometimes, yeah, you feel bad sometimes, but neither one are indicators of you being healthy or unhealthy. And so fundamentally, I think our interference with that innate impulse, that innate intelligence, comes down to primarily our relationship to ourselves and preventing you from experiencing life in a way where you're willing to experience pain or stress or emotional heaviness. Like, if you're willing to go through those things, you come out the other side knowing you can do it. You adapt to life. If you're willing to go through a fever, you come out the other side with a more resilient immune system. If you're willing to go through a heartbreak, you come out the side knowing your own values. You have more integrity. If you go through a stress response, you come out the other side knowing that you can handle that event again with more grace, with more resilience, with more adaptability. And so you don't shy away from life. I think we're all like so convinced that life can only be good if we feel good, that we're actually making our life really, really small and really, really limited because we're afraid of facing these stresses, these challenges, these potential for emotional heartbreak. And like, all of that fear is keeping us from truly living life. It's preventing that innate impulse from being fully liberated, fully free to express throughout the system. As a chiropractor, I honor that's what I am attempting to support, is this process of liberating the innate impulse. And how I do that is through focusing on the nervous system. The nervous system is what stores experience that either we've gotten through and learned from and adapted to, every challenge we've ever learned and really sat with and stuck with. We now have that knowing, that wisdom wired in us as a neural pathway. And every experience we've ever had where we took away from it that we shouldn't do that again, or that was wrong and bad and it made me feel wrong and bad. And so we kind of inhibited the full completion of learning from it, adapting to it. And I don't want to like say this in the way like, you're the problem, you're the reason your nervous system is like not well adapted, or you're the reason your body is always sick. It's like, this isn't a blame game, it's just a direction of attention. If your attention is always on how can I feel good and avoid feeling bad, you're not going to actually live, because that's not what life is about. But if your attention is more so, okay, how can I experience fully moving through an honest happening, such as stress, such as a negative emotion, such as pain? How can I stay present with this all the way through? Well, that's how we actually create adaptations. That's how we actually grow and learn and evolve. And life actually becomes easier the more willing we are to do something that's not easy, that's uncomfortable, that's painful and stressful. This is like, I don't need to prove this to you. Every time you've like had a broken heart, or every time you've gone through like one of the heaviest times of your life and you've fully gotten through it, it might have taken years, it might have taken several rounds of therapy and chiropractic, I don't know. But once you know you're on the other side, you feel more you. You feel more you than ever. And what I believe is happening there is every time we have a big experience that kind of demands that we be with it, what we are allowing our nervous system to do is integrate it in a way where when we come out the other side, we're more adaptive and we're more willing to live life. That's the thing about having a well-adapted nervous system. You're not afraid of doing challenging things because you've done challenging things. You're not afraid of things getting hard and painful because you've done that. And so because you're not afraid, you're open arms, asking life, like, all right, what's next? What else do you have for me to learn? I recognize that my mess has become my message. And so we don't shy away from going into those hard times. Nobody's like saying, yes, I love feeling heartbroken. Yes, I love feeling stressed out. Yes, I love back pain. Nobody's saying that. But there's this deeper reverence of this is part of the process. And because it's part of the process, and I just so happen to be a living process, I'm going to do my best to support it, allow it, stay present with it. And as a chiropractor, knowing that all of this, this conversation that I'm saying out loud is actually happening in the nervous system, well, if we're not in this adaptive place where we're like, yes, more please, more life please, I can do it, I know I can do it, I have a confidence, I've got a whole resume that's of like heartbreak and sickness that I've gotten over, that I've truly experienced. If we're not in that place, that well-adapted place, if our nervous system isn't carrying a well-adapted tone, well, then we still have stuff to process. We still have stuff we haven't yet adapted to, and that's being held in the nervous system. As a chiropractor, I'm applying a force strategically to the nervous system, through the body, through the spine. And what I know happens is when you receive a new force, you're receiving a new experience, new information. Your brain has to process a present experience. And if the present experience is, first of all, transformative, like we are literally transforming the position of your whole body, if it's safe, you're in the safe presence of somebody. You came into this office with an intention to heal, I hope, to change, to feel something more, if not just better. And this context with a new force application, with a new moment, a new experience for your brain to process, we essentially fortify this like moving forward of the nervous system to move towards adaptation. Your body is always trying to adapt. It's always trying to move towards adaptation. When it's not an evidence of failure. It's an evidence that, look, there's just so much resistance in the way. I either don't want to go into all this stuff that I'm holding on to because it's scary and I would have to actually feel it. There's that. But then in two, if we didn't get the proper, let's say, toning to our nervous system as children, in the form of being vaginally birthed, put on the mom's chest, and getting this feedback of mom's here, I'm loved, I did the most terrifying thing I've ever done in this lifetime yet, my own birth, and now I have the feedback that I am okay, I'm safe, and I'm loved. That is the first moment of toning our nervous system towards being adaptive. If we did not get that, just because our birth was not that way, we missed out on that first opportunity. Can you imagine what a nervous system would feel like if it was wired to go through a challenge and be met with safety instantly, but it didn't get that? I'm not saying that that nervous system is damned for life, but perhaps every time challenge happens now, we assume that help won't come. Or if it does, it'll be delayed. Or if it does, it'll be less than what we're really looking for. We were looking for our mom. We were looking for the safe presence that we developed in, and we didn't get that. We have this relationship to stress now that is hardwired into our nervous system. And our nervous system is neuroplastic. We can change this, but we have to have experience to change it. We can't just think ourselves differently. We can't just talk about it. We have to have the experience of when I do a hard thing, I'm met with safety and love. Like, that's a non-negotiable. That is what wires us to be willing to participate with hard things. That nervous system that didn't get that first toning experience, I would imagine They just don't trust themselves to do hard things because the response that they have to go through, that stress, that fear, that's too much. They don't know that safety is on the other side. They don't know that love is on the other side. They don't know that they're going to be taken care of. So why would they want to go do something that might instigate that response? It makes all the sense. And we're resilient creatures. We can have a terrible birth and come out 20 years later doing just fine. What's the difference there? That nervous system probably had plenty of other experience, either throughout childhood of doing something hard, experiencing the challenge of it, but then ultimately settling into the other side, if you will, where they can know that they can do hard things. And two, our parents are essentially surrogates for our nervous system for a little bit. We borrow theirs. If our parents had a nervous system that was not well adapted, not well toned, they were chronically stressed out, always afraid of what could happen, what's on the other side of this corner, what's on the other side of this paycheck, what's on the other side of this first of the month. If we had parents like that, that's what we wired to, that we are always anticipating something wrong or bad happening and then having to go in self-correction mode. Fundamentally, this wires our whole system to relate to ourselves in a way where we just don't trust that we can do hard things. So we don't trust that we can feel pain. We don't trust that we can be stressed out. We don't trust that we can have a heartbreak and we're gonna make it. This will never resolve by trying to become more and more safe. This will never resolve by making your environment perfect. You're always gonna have this like posture and attitude towards life, potentially always being threatening. The only way this resolves is by going through experience that is challenging, that is hurtful, that is hard, and then experiencing how you can do that. You deserve support. You deserve other people encouraging you and being safe reflectors to you. You don't have to do this alone, but nobody can experience things for you. You have to actually experience the pain. You have to experience the fever that you continuously want to suppress if you actually want to have a well-adapted immune system. You have to experience the stress if you actually want to have a well-adapted stress mechanism, meaning you can just hang out with stress. It's not stressful. You're not full of stress, you just experience stress. And the bigness of this is as we allow life to live in this way, we don't hold on to things. Holding on to things, whether it's a stress response, emotions we refuse to process, memory, by holding on to these things, that's what's making us sick. The irony, the avoiding of trying to feel bad, that's what's making us chronically feel bad, chronically avoiding the resolution of some of these experiences. We all deserve to know that that's what's going on, because now we can actually direct our attention to different questions, not how can I escape harm or threat or whatever I think is the thing to avoid, but how can I experience fear presently? How can I experience stress presently? What would I ask for in terms of support and nurturing when I'm in that place, so that I can support my system in knowing that, like, hey, even though we're in this stress response or fear response or pain response, you're not going to be here forever. So how can I support you? How can I help you feel more confident in being here, in being depressed, and being anxious? All of these like things that we think we need to fix through the form of medication or surgery, or it's not like those are inherently bad solutions, but they're reflecting our relationship to ourselves. We don't trust ourselves to have an honest experience. An honest experience doesn't always feel good, but it is liberating, ultimately. Our bodies desire honesty. They desire realness. We have this like animalistic neurology that says, I need you to just be. I need you to just express. And when we don't allow that, that energy doesn't just disappear, we hold on to it. And we also have this spiritual component, that spiritual component that says somehow, some way I chose this life on earth, this human experience. And that implies experiencing. It implies good and bad, and being able to experience both without over-identifying with either. This conversation started out with chiropractic, and I still believe that we're talking about chiropractic fundamentally. And as a chiropractor, this is what I'm interested in. How can I support the system in liberating its innate intelligence, the force of life that knows how to live, that wants to live, that always wants to adapt to life. I think we are the greatest interference in that. By we, I mean just like our wired relationship to what it means to be honest, to what it means to be real. I think we have a habit of wanting to only feel good, and as a result, we suppress anything that doesn't feel good, and we get in the way of life living.